All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another episode of the Chasing Tails Outdoor Podcast. And if you're listening to this, you need to check out YouTube because we're starting to do these YouTube videos where it's a podcast, video podcast. You can see what we're talking about. And trust me on this one, you're going to want to see this tonight's guest's background. He's got the way cooler background than I do. So we'll make it focus on him entirely. In fact, we'll do this right here. Okay, great. So, I'm not going to beat around the bush, dude. We have got the legendary Ray Martin back on the podcast. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. Can't complain. All good here.
Especially now that turkey season's here.
Yeah, turkey season here. So we're definitely we already started it. So it went really good already. The kids, my daughter couldn't go the first day. So I got a buddy's kid. He didn't know till last minute that it was going to be a surprise that I was going to be calling for him. And when he heard that I was going to be calling for him that Friday, boy, that kid was jumping out of his, he was definitely jumping out of his skin because he had no idea. His dad's not much of a turkey hunter. So I did the job. We had all the birds scouted. So, I mean, it was, we roosted that bird that Friday afternoon. So it was pretty much not a done deal. Roosted ain't roasted, but we were right on him. I mean, we set up 60 yards from him. That bird saw the decoys, pitch right straight in. And we barely even had no time to get any cameras rolling. Thank God we had one of the GoPros on the foot peg, and that got the kill shot. And I mean, the kill shot was pretty sweet. I mean, you could just see feathers just flying everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
So, and the kid was so happy. He was so nervous at the beginning. He kept on looking to me. I'm like, dude, you need to stop moving. It's like, just focus toward where the decoy is. That's where he's going to go. And he's trying to look for the bird. I'm like, just focus on the decoy. He's going to be right on it in less than a minute. And he did a great shot. Got a good bird, I believe, 9.5 inch spurs. Good Osceola.
Yeah.
And then I had an even bigger task. Now Sunday, my daughter we had to get her on hers. But again, she got there late Saturday. We found a bird. We left him alone. We let him go to roost. We got a little bit closer. We saw where he roosted, and following morning we were set up. This one we couldn't get any closer. We got about 150 because that's where he needed to pitch down to. So he was not going to be any closer. So we waited. We got on and set up on him. 20-yard decoy setup, and he pitched down. Got a little bit nervous from the decoys, kind of ran away, made a few light yelps, some sops clucks, and 5 minutes, not even maybe 2 minutes later, he worked his way back to 20, 22 yards, and she made a hell of a shot. So last year she missed twice, so that was on her mind, but we worked on that this year. We did a lot of work with her. She's lefty, so it's hard for me. I'm righty. The setup is different. With kids is all different, so you got to work on setup. But she got it done. She got a 10-inch, 1.25 inch spurs.
That's crazy, man.
Really
so let's just jump right into it because you've already said a couple things that I was going to bring up, and you've already brought them up. So first and foremost, how much do you think your odds during turkey season increase whenever you can roost a bird? I mean, roost is not roasted like you said, but is it like, do you feel 50% better?
Oh yeah, no. I mean, if we roost them and know the area, we got out of 10, we kill 8. I mean, that's pretty much knowing the area. It also comes down to, we've been scouting these birds for a whole month, every Saturday, Sunday. So we've been out there dark. We've been sitting in the areas. We're watching them where they pitch down, where they're going. So if for some reason they pitch away, we know how to go around and where to go and cut them off or bring them back in. I mean, if you can bring them back in, but usually out of 10, we'll kill 8.
That's crazy good. Yeah.
But we creep up on them. I mean, when we roost them, we're within, the closest we've been to a roosted bird is 20 yards.
Oh my God.
We like to get right on top of him. So when he wakes up, the first thing he'll see, it's going to be the decoys. And if he's going to pitch away, he's going to pitch away no matter what. So we get on.
That's awesome. Okay. So you're talking about getting insanely close. I tend to get my approach to the woods because I hunt really thick swamps predominantly. And when I
Right.
think about really thick swamps, the idea of being able to roost them with that degree of precision is kind of difficult because you can't see through the tree canopy.
Correct.
Maybe very well. And so I tend to get there really early. I listen for a bird to gobble. I use that tree canopy in the cover of darkness to get in as close as I can, but I'm not
Yep.
getting that close. How early are you getting there to get in that close?
I mean, sometimes we'll be, if it's day right now, daybreak's about 6:15. We're sometimes set up by 5.
Yeah, I had a
I
feeling.
mean, we've come in depending on the moon, how much moon, no moon. But if we got to be in there sitting down by 4:30, 5 in the morning, we'll be there and
Yeah.
just sit back and chill. I
Yeah.
mean, the earliest I've set up on a bird, public land. Remember, public land, early bird gets the worm. I've been sitting in my blind one time. We were sitting up by 3:30 in the morning, basically just to beat somebody else that knew the same area. And we had got them on trail cam, but we've been hunting the same area probably 12 years.
Right.
So somebody else creeped in and he thought he was going to sit inside our blind. And when he was walking in at 5:30, we shined them off as like, time to go, buddy. We've been here since 3:30.
What'd you shine them off with that didn't spook the birds?
I mean, we'll just use a regular light. I mean,
Yeah.
people say, regular lights, if that bird's asleep, I mean, ain't nothing going to spook them.
That's a good point.
But we go in basically no light at all. I mean, if we have to use a light, it's going to be a green light and we'll cup it in our hand. That way we can light up whatever we're seeing. But we hunt different for what you're talking about. We got a lot of open fields.
Right.
Georgia, where I'm hunting, we got canopy. We do got to, I mean, you barely can see your feet.
Sure.
So we do use either a red light or green light, but just cupped enough in our hand that we could only see what we're walking. And I mean, creep in. If you gotta take 30 minutes to get 100 yards, it's what you got to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I did a lot of that my first year of turkey hunting. I didn't know the area as well as you're talking about. And it was one of those things where I had I've talked about this on previous podcasts, but I had to storm the castle. It was this cypress head that was completely surrounded by water, and they had just a thin amount of water underneath. And there was this strut zone on the side, but the strut zone was like 40 yards from the birds roosting. And so we did a lot of that where it was, you're also trying to be kind of quiet. It's like this cost benefit analysis, right? And so we cut the light and we're just taking our sweet time. You would have thought we were spot stalking a deer during daylight hours, just creeping our way in there. And to do that and have those turkeys come alive around you and have no idea that you're there. Oh my God.
It's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
It's pretty sweet, especially inside of a hardwood. When them boys gobble, I mean, it roars through that whole bottom. I mean, hardwoods, that's pretty damn sweet. So
yeah. Okay.
We got all these open pastures. So I mean, we work our way through the edges of the woods and kind of creep in. Like when we got in on Sunday, we got there at 6. He was already up, which I was surprised. When I glassed at him, I could see him moving up on the tree, and I'm like, man, that guy's up pretty damn early. So, but we creeped in through the side of cypress and some palmettos, and he never knew we were there. And he didn't know, he couldn't see the decoy where he was, which that's what startled him. Mm-hmm. When he landed, I mean, he freaked out. Mm-hmm. But a little bit soft clucks and yelps, that was all it took for him to bring him back.
Okay, so you brought up the decoy, and that's my next way. We have a lot of turkey hunters, new turkey hunters in our little Patreon supporter group. And one of the biggest questions that's been asked is decoy versus no decoy. And I give them different advice than I think you're going to give them, which is, in my opinion, I don't use turkey decoys. Why do you use turkey decoys on public land?
I use basically, if I have time to use them, I'll use a hen and a jake.
Okay.
90%. I mean, we mostly run and gun. If we roost them, we put out a decoy.
Gotcha.
If we are off the roost or we don't roost a bird and he pitches somewhere else and we're running and gunning, we barely use that decoy, or we do use a fan. We do fan birds in. That does work. even on public land. I mean, people's like, well, you're probably going to get shot. I'm like, well, most of the areas I'm hunting, I'm either way far away from somebody, or, I mean, it's only going to be a matter of 5-10 seconds that we fan them, and then we put that down, and usually they react pretty good to it.
Really?
But yeah, decoy, I've probably killed, I would say 50-50 with and without. It all depends on the setup. But if we roost them, we definitely set up a decoy.
Do you ever have birds that they see it and you can just tell they're not interested because of the decoy, or is it kind of one of those things like it either doesn't? Yeah.
We've had those, but then we hammer them with the calls.
Okay.
We calling. Yeah, I know you're going to get to that, but calling, we hammer birds. Everybody's like, just do soft yelps and purrs. We hammer. I mean, if he ain't going to come, he ain't going to come. But we do fighting purrs. We'll gobble. And usually fighting purrs will turn any bird that has heard the 5 million yelps that everybody does.
Okay, so let's just jump right into that, because I know one of your favorite calls, if not your favorite call, is an aluminum pot call, right? So you have an aggressive form of calling with an aggressive call. Is that something that you stumbled into, or like?
Man, I mean, that's the new one is from a company that just sent me one, Old Hen. But my original is a HS Strut Black Magic. I've had that since 94, 96. And it just has, you can either get it on a high pitch, raspy, or you can tone it down. I do carry inside my vest, I carry a glass, a crystal, box call, my aluminum, which is my go-to. I mean, if I lose that, it's the end of the world. And with an acrylic striker, that one makes a difference. And mouth calls, I'll probably carry 2 different types. And mouth calls I'll just use for the last maybe 30 to 50 yards to bring them in. That way my hands are free.
I got you.
But I mean, I've been known to call with 6 different calls at one bird till he finally liked one call, and he would come in. 2 hours of calling, changing calls, and nothing till one day I brought out box call, and he turned right away and came right to us. End of that.
You know, it's funny. You talk about how you could use all those different calls and it not elicit a reaction from the bird, but then yet you pull one out and suddenly it changes everything. I always thought that was a joke until last year. We were in the North Georgia mountains and there was this bird that was shot gobbling to a red-tailed hawk, and I'm calling. He didn't want anything to do with it. I went through 2 pot calls. I went through my box call. I had a slate, a glass, something, but then I went to this one sharp, real heavy latex mouth call, and I just cut really, really hard, and all of a sudden he gobbled, and I waited another minute, and I cut real hard, and he had cut the distance. I mean, like, he was coming.
That's what he liked. I mean, I tell everybody, all my friends and everybody that sends me messages, it's like, well, what call do you use? I go, dude, I have several calls. It's whatever my go-to is, my aluminum. But if he ain't responding to it, I mean, I'm going to start changing calls. Or I'll make that yelp longer, shorter, harder cuts, just to get them excited. Like I said, we don't do the regular yelp and purr. We hammer birds.
I like
my son's been on some awesome hunts, and he already knows what to do. And he's like, man, nobody does this. I go, yeah, that's why we do it. Especially fighting purrs. I mean, nobody does that. But we all do fighting purrs, and at the same time, just slap the side of our thighs and make some noise like if they're fighting, and that gobbler will get upset.
I think it's interesting because I see a parallel between, a lot of people are like, oh, well, turkey hunting and elk hunting is very similar, and in a lot of ways they're very similar. You have a style of hunting that you're interested in going after. You're committed to aggressive calling to get to elicit a call or a response from the bird. And you see a lot of that out west with elk hunters. They tend to do this very similar pattern where it's like they have a routine and they're looking for that bull that's willing to play the game. Do you think that to new turkey hunters or let's just say inexperienced turkey hunters. Do you think that that technique can translate anywhere and they should adopt that? Or do you think it's kind of like situation specific?
Well, we've used the same technique in Texas, Nebraska, Georgia. We've used the same thing.
Okay.
I mean, we'll definitely hammer those birds in Georgia. I mean, everybody says Easterns are pretty easy, and I mean, I think Easterns are. I think they're a bit harder than Osceolas. They definitely don't work that faster than some Osceolas do. So, but I mean, everywhere I've been, Nebraska, Texas birds are pretty damn easy. I mean, them guys will come running in. I mean, you can slam a car door, they'll gobble. Those things are ridiculous. They're pretty dumb. Yeah, them Rios ain't that smart. Those are the easiest ones, I think.
So are you telling me that in South Florida you have the easiest turkey hunting in the state?
I find it easy. Basically, scouting.
Sure.
Homeland. We know the properties. It's all basically public land. But I mean, like I said, we've been at it for a week scouting all these birds. We got trail cameras out there. We haven't even hunted the birds we've scouted. We found new birds on that Friday that we roosted. We knew they were there, not new, but we haven't been nowhere near where we're going to hunt this weekend. And every day we got the same bird on camera, 11-inch beard, same spot, same time. So it's like a done deal. We don't even know we're going to go after them yet. We might. We got options. We got about probably 30, 40 birds that we've scouted.
That's unreal, dude.
Oh, it's pretty sick. And I get a lot of guys that ask me about this particular WMA. Is like, hey, where can I go? I said, dude, just drive the roads and you'll see the birds, and then figure it out. Look at your Google, make sure there's nothing in between, drainage ditch, inner roads. That's the next thing. As you're hunting, make sure you're looking at that Google that bird might not take a buggy trail, a road that's in the way, and then you get screwed. That did happen to me years ago. And then I'm like, I should have looked at my Google map and I would have figured out where to go. So as you're hunting, make sure you look at that map. Or if you know the area 100%.
Yeah. So let's talk about the scouting, because I'm going to confess something on public radio here. I don't scout very much for turkeys before the season. Now, I also have a situation where I'm kind of lucky in that I have a lot of turkeys where I live and not a whole lot of pressure. And so I kind of have the ability to not have to really work hard for it. For the guys who are sitting back right now, getting fired up for turkey season, how do you recommend to them that they get started? Like how do they scout today for the 18th opener or 19th opener?
Well, man, I mean, it's basically a lot of gas burning, getting up early, be out there 20, 30 minutes before daybreak, walk walk it during daytime, find some tracks, some bird poop, look at some areas where you might think the birds might roost. Then the next step is once you glass them, look at the time. The birds are you can pretty much time turkeys by wherever they're at a certain time. I mean, they're usually there every day, 20, 30 minutes, plus or minus. Every day. It's clockwork. That I learned many years ago. If you see them in a field, let's say 10 a.m., be there the following day, 9:30. They'll show up plus or minus 20, 30 minutes. And then just mark it, watch where they're going, kind of feel it out where they're going, get in front of them, see if they're going to take a specific trail. If they do take the trail, make sure you mark it on time. Following day, go back out there. It's a lot of scouting, a lot of waking up early, going out there, just sitting, listening, go further. Sometimes further is not the best option. Sometimes within 100 yards of your vehicle, it can happen. We actually, last week on Monday, we decided not to go to another bird, and we parked closer to where we didn't think they were there. So I just waited there till daybreak, and as soon as it was enough light, I did an owl hoot, and the bird was 50 yards from the truck. And then I'm like, well, my son looked at me. He's like, well, this didn't work. I go, no, actually, it's going to work good, because now if we bump him, we'll figure out what's going to be his escape route. And he actually came out 150 yards right in front of our camera. So we're like, all right, bingo. If somebody tries to hunt this bird, knocks him out of the roost, something happens, we know where we got to be. So it was like an accident, but it actually did help. But a lot of getting up early, a lot of walking, definitely scouting. Google does help. Definitely look at the Google Maps, see what roads are for us, buggy trails, fire breaks, depending on the area. I mean, most of it is pasture, but definitely scouting.
Ray,
and
it always
a lot of walking and a lot of getting up early, man.
It always surprises me, and I don't mean this any kind of way. It always surprises me how simple your approach is to getting on game. Like you just get up and you get out there and you spend time in the woods. You're so logical about things.
We're out there. We've been out there 4 weeks in a row. I mean, luckily we can do it. But if, let's say, I'm going to scout a new area, I'll get on Google Maps, look at the area, find kind of like pine and some cypress edges, some buggy roads, some roads off the beaten path, and then go out there and check them out. If you got cameras, set them up. If you don't, then you got to get out there, and cameras are the best, man. We've had the cameras running for a month. We got pretty much every bird we've scouted on camera all day long. All day long, they're on camera, which is amazing. You're working, and all of a sudden, beep, you look, and he's right now. Today, we had 3 strutting in front of the cameras.
Yeah. So do they at work just know that when your phone vibrates, just to hush until you've checked to see what's on your camera? I mean, like it seems like you just live and breathe the outdoors, and everyone around you knows better.
I'm about if I can quit working, I would, but I can't. Got to work, make some money so I can hunt.
Yeah.
But yeah, every time that phone beeps, it's like, oh damn, look at that gobbler. You're like, oh man. And then we're texting it all back to buddies. I send it to a buddy of mine. He's like, are you going to hunt that one? I'm like, maybe not. Yeah. He goes, really? I go, man, we got so many birds we scouted. I don't know yet. Not sure.
So let's say you go to a place that you've never been to before. Like literally you just e-scouted. You talked about what you would look for, the cypress heads and the pine flats. That makes sense. The edges. You get there and nothing's talking. Are you still aggressively calling as you go?
Oh, yeah.
How does your tactics change?
If we got nothing going on, I'll get on my box call, and I'll do some serious hard cuts, try to get that bird fired up. And then from there on is basically walk slowly. I'll call every 100 yards, give it about 5-10 minutes. If nothing's happening, I'm going to get up and keep on rolling. If it takes 2-3 miles of that, maybe bump into a bird. You never know. I'll take luck any day, man. Just bump in, and all of a sudden we got a Mexican standoff.
Yeah,
he's looking at us, and we're looking back, but we got a gun. So if I got that opportunity, I'm going to shoot that bird.
What's your firearm setup this year? Because I saw you posted something about having a new sweet rig.
Well, no, that's my go-to is my Mossberg 835 with a kick choke, 6-hour red dot on it, and Longbeard's number 6, 3.5 inch. And then the other one, it's going to be the Gerson. It's basically Benelli inertia system, semi-auto 3.5. That one's going to shoot a double X number 6 with also a 6-hour red dot on it. Yeah, they're both on money.
So you don't shoot TSS? You're still shooting traditional lead shot.
Man, you don't need TSS.
Oh, come on, Ray.
No, man. Why spend $60 on a box of 5 when you can kill them with 2 3/4? 90% of the birds we shoot we don't try to bring them in any closer than 20 yards.
Right.
Because with our setup, it's basically you're looking at a baseball.
Yeah.
At 20 yards, we're looking at that much.
Right.
So we try to shoot them like at 30. But 40, 50, the max the furthest yard one was 70 yards.
I got you. Okay. That's a pro, man.
It wasn't intentional, but it was a big old bird and decided to let it ride. And he didn't go nowhere.
Yeah,
But
you
I mean,
dropped.
our shots are usually 25, 30.
I got you. Yeah, so I shoot TSS.
Okay.
But I also have a best friend who load my turkey hunting mentor loads them for me. So it's not I
Yeah, yeah.
acknowledge that I have a hookup there. But
Right.
I was talking to a buddy of mine the other day, and he was like, "Well, why do you shoot TSS?" I'm like, "Well, it I have 220 pellets in a 20-inch circle. Like it has certain benefits." And he's like, "Yeah, but how far do you shoot your birds?" And I started thinking about it. I was like, "Man, I've shot one at 37, and everything else was 30, as
Yeah.
close as 30 to 18 yards."
Yeah. Yeah. It's all close shots. I mean, it's that rare 50.
Right.
And basically you're just throwing lead at it or TSS. I mean, it could be a crippled bird.
Yeah.
So you never know. But I mean, it happens. But like I said, I just don't see the need. I've been shooting, actually, Remington was what I was shooting the Premier for years till Winchester came out with the Longbeards. And those Longbeards, they do a number on birds. And that's all we shoot. Or the Winchester Double X, which is even cheaper. So cheaper kills them, cheaper works. Yeah, I've never bought into the TSS stuff. I do a lot of oddball things, and I don't go with the flow. Everybody's all about TSS. I'm like, dude, you're shooting birds at 30 yards. It's like, why spend $60 on a box of 5? So it's like, if you can do it, great. I can do it, but it's like, don't need to.
Yeah. Well, and as many times as people around you and you pull the trigger, that'd be like $150 bill at the end of the year.
Man, I mean, with the kids, buddies of mine, my son, I mean, we'd be kind of broke.
I mean, I pull the trigger if I'm lucky 3 times in a year, and so for me, it's what, like $30. It's like a box of shells.
Money is not really the main thing, but I just don't see
it's practical
spending that kind of money to shoot a bird at 30 yards.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's what you like, I mean, go ahead and do it. If your gun pattern's well with it, definitely go with it. I mean, our guns are both money with those combinations.
Sure.
My Longbeard and the Double X, they shoot identical. So if I run out of shells for some reason, I just pick up some from my son.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a benefit to that for sure. The Longbeard XRs, I think I shot the number 5s before I went to TSS. And man, I got a kill. I don't know what it is that they do, but I got a killer pattern out of that.
Oh, no, they shoot great, man.
Yeah.
5 and 6 is basically what we've always used.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been shooting 6 for 2 years now. And no problem at
all. Oh yeah. Yeah. I've got to upgrade my gun. Parker McDonald, he runs the Southern Ground hunting podcast. He's constantly making fun of the fact that I'm still shooting a Maverick 88. And so
whatever kills him, man.
I keep telling him that. It's like, it's been killing things for 10 years now. I can't.
Whatever kills them. I mean, my Mossberg 835 I've had since it's got to be like 2000 or maybe 99.
Yeah.
And that thing kicks like a mule, but it doesn't leave them. It doesn't leave them running.
Have you ever felt it after you pulled the trigger on a bird?
No, not really. I mean, when you're shooting at the range, yeah, it kicks.
Yeah.
But when you're hunting, just like the kid, my buddy's kid. He was kind of hesitant to shoot. And I'm like, dude, when you shoot, you're not going to feel it. But he was using 2 3/4 dub load. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're going to bring in the bird real close. He shot it at, I believe, 15 yards.
That's crazy.
And then I told him, I go, listen, you're not going to feel the shot. So just don't worry about it. Just like my daughter. My daughter's actually using the Longbeards in 20 gauge. And I told her, I go, listen, once you shoot, you won't even feel it. You won't even hear that shot. And then she was like, she had already killed the bird, but she was still hesitant. And when I told her, I go, did you feel it? She goes, nope. I go, I told you. I go, it's a whole different ball game once you actually, you don't have to shoot at paper. Paper hurts.
Oh, yeah. No doubt. I mean, I've got a video and I'm shooting TSS to see how it patterns. And the gun just rocked. And you see it like the barrel do this afterwards. Yep. I have never, ever. In fact, I remember one time I'm walking out of a swamp and I guess I didn't have my cheek on the gun the way that I should have when I pulled the trigger fully, like snug. And I remember walking out, all of a sudden I've got this headache and I'm like, oh my God, what is going on? You know,
I'm rocked your head.
I'm 30 minutes having passed pulled the trigger.
when we're at the range, I normally get a small towel, put it on my shoulder.
Yeah.
Everybody's looking at me like, man, what kind of sissy are you? I'm like, dude, I'm not going to be the one that 2 days from now is going to be hurting.
Yeah.
So I'll be fine. You guys keep on shooting those heavy loads, and then next day your shoulder's going to be black and blue.
I'll
be fine. Let me look like a sissy right now. I'm cool with it.
Oh, man. Okay, so to the guy who doesn't have the luxury of time like you do, because you spend all the time in the woods.
Yeah, we live out there, man.
Yeah, and I'm envious, right? I'm hugely envious, and I think a lot of our listeners will be. The guy who he's got Saturday and Sunday morning only to hunt. What is your advice to him, like now versus maybe in the season? Like, what can he do?
I've been there. Basically, drive to an area that you've seen birds or somebody told you about, and just basically get out there dark. Don't set up, just walk, stay along some cypress edge or sit by a palmetto and wait to hear that bird gobble. If you hear a bird gobble, kind of estimate whether he's far from you or not. If you think he's far, get up and go. Try to get as close as possible. If you got to use an owl call or crow call to locate him, do that instead of a yelp. And then creep in as much as you can. Make sure you glass every pine, every tree he might be roosted at. And then if you can kind of pinpoint him, even by looking on your Google Earth, where he might be, creep in as much as possible, then sit and then start your calling. That's what I do in areas that I have no clue what's going on.
Right.
Like we do, like last year, we had plenty of birds roosted in one area where we knew they roosted. Mm-hmm. But on Sunday, my son had killed one, and I'm like, hey, let's just go somewhere else. And he's like, why? I'm like, let's just go for a challenge. He's like, but we know where these are. I'm like, okay, yeah, we do, but let's go find some other birds. And he's like, why are we doing this? I'm like, just because. It's like, it's part of that challenge of finding new stuff and killing new stuff.
I love that.
I mean, we always finish our season Central Florida. So when we start down here, we'll play with some birds. We'll let them go by. We've been calling birds in for 3 weeks straight. And we've just once they're coming in, we just let them go by, and they're going nuts, calling, looking for that hen. And we just watch them go by. And we called them in three times already, same birds. We might hunt them this weekend. It's 2 big old gobblers.
You don't feel like you're educating the birds, the common narrative?
Man, they don't remember much. They don't remember much. I mean, we've killed out of one group out of 4 gobblers. We've shot 2. We've doubled up, and then they'll remember for about a day. But by day number 2, they have no clue. The other 2 come in just as dumb, and they went home.
That's crazy to me.
This is public. Dude. Yeah. We're not out on private land.
I don't know that I have ever had a guest come on the show hunting a place as pressured as South Florida who's ever said that they've let birds walk.
Oh, we've let them walk.
That's crazy, man.
That we've let them walk. I mean, and just we'll try them tomorrow. Like on Saturday, we had a bird that we could have probably got her on, but we didn't want to spook the bird, and we knew he was going to roost there, so we backed off and we let him go roost. And then we'll say, well, tomorrow we'll try to go kill him tomorrow. We could have got it done maybe Saturday, but we could have also screwed it up. So we're like, let's just leave him alone, let him go do his thing. We'll figure it out from far away, watch him till he disappeared in the woods. We creeped in about another 80 yards. We saw him on the roost, and we're like, all right, man, tomorrow's your day. And that's what we did.
That's crazy. I hope it is my honest to God hope that one day I pass birds like Ray.
Come down here one year, man.
Oh man, I will. Do not tempt me.
We'll definitely get you down here. This year I'm pretty much booked between my hunts, sons. We also got a veterans hunt I'm guiding. We're going to Georgia also, so I'm pretty much booked. But next year we got to definitely make a plan, and I'll show you some stuff.
Oh man, I can assure the listeners right now, you won't see me passing any birds.
Yeah,
I'm just I'm not in a place where I feel like I can. If I pass a bird, I bet if you gave me enough pressure, I would pass, and then I would lay there at night and I would stare at the ceiling and I would just relive that one moment in my head over and over again.
Why did I do that? And why did you leave birds and go to a new area? Yeah, I've done that. You can have my son, he's testament to that. He's like, why are we doing this, man? I'm like, it's like, dude, we'll get on them. We'll figure it out. We'll find other ones. He's like, no, let's just go there. We know where they're at. I'm like, nah, let's just leave those alone. I mean, you got to leave birds for the following year. So,
I mean, okay, I can get, all right. Okay. If I'm being honest with myself, last year, so in 2020, I shot both my birds out of one bottom, and it's a relatively small patch of ground. The next year I went in there and I killed another bird. And last year I went, okay, I'm going to leave that spot alone after I killed that other bird. I know there's 4 or 5 other toms in there, but I'll let them be because their survival rate's so low.
right.
And I started, reaching out. So I guess I'm creeping up on being more like you than I admitted.
No, I mean, I love killing turkeys. Don't get me wrong.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, if you got to let some go by.
Yeah, for sure.
And we have a long season. I mean, we start March 5th, I think it is this weekend.
Yep.
And runs all the way to April 24, 26. So,
Somewhere
I mean,
there, yeah.
we got plenty. But, I mean, dealing now with 2 birds for my son, my daughter, myself, some friends, it's like, all right, man, it's like, that's a lot of birds in public land.
Yeah.
So, but, I mean, we put in a lot of work.
What's the everything I hear about South Florida is that it's this horrendous like battle between people on public land. Is it as bad as everybody makes it out to be?
Non-quota, yeah. But if you get in further, you're probably going to be a little bit less pressure. Quota hunts are great. Normally we pick up some quotas or I get invited, so which is a good thing. And quota hunts, I mean, I think the one we're going to now, it's like 60 people.
Okay.
It's a pretty big area. I think it's like 20-some thousand or 30,000 acres. But we're still going to push in further. Or we can hunt pretty damn close to the road. Those birds that people will just drive right by them. And the birds won't even get off that roost. I mean, they'll drive right by them. And we'll just creep in from another angle and just set up on them. It's knowing the terrain, basically.
Yeah. I think it's easy. One of the things that we're going to do this year is I've got a good friend of mine who hunts deer all over the country, Tanner Edenfield. He literally goes everywhere. And he doesn't have a regimen about killing deer. He lets the deer tell him where they are, which makes so much sense in principle. But when you're trying to convey topics to people, like find these transition zones, find these different areas, and throughout the year he'll send me like a video of a deer bedded in like the wrong place, right? And he talks all the time about how people overgeneralize like where game are going to be, what they're going to do. And he's like, dude, sometimes they're 10 yards off the road and that's just where they feel comfortable. And you're talking about how you pull off on the side of the road, you got a bird 50 yards from you.
No, I mean, we do the same thing with deer. The same thing. I mean, we'll let people drive in, and as everybody's driving in, those deer are kind of freaking out. They're running out to closer to check stations. And we're sitting there just letting everybody drive in. Somebody's like, hey, you going in? I'm like, yeah, eventually. Well, when? I was like, well, when all of you guys drive in, I'll wait till everything settles down. And you'll drive past the deer and they'll be laying there. And then the whole commotion of crowds went in. Everything's quiet. We come in, creeping in. Bucks are still there, just bedded.
Yeah.
And we catch them as we slip in.
I love that, dude.
Yep.
So early turkey hunting for you, what mistakes did you make that people could learn from?
Well, it took me 2 years to figure it out. I asked a buddy if he can show me, and he didn't really want to. He gave me a lot of excuses. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to figure this out. I learned basically was going out there every weekend for 2 weekends straight. I got out there dark to an oak head. This was Central Florida. And just listen. Everybody was waiting at camp. I mean, they wanted to do breakfast and stuff. I was out there at dark waiting. I would listen to the birds. I found where they roosted. They would pitch down to an open field. I would look at them by clock, what time it was. Then they would kind of do their thing, strut, work their way out of the field to another part of the corner of this. It was on a private farm, but they would work their way toward management area. So I would kind of follow on the perimeter till I would see where they would cross. I saw them crossing like at 9:30. Following morning, I went back out again, watched the whole show, watched them come in like 9:50. And that's when I'm like, dude, these guys, you can work them by the clock. And I did that 3 weeks straight. And that year I killed my first Osceola. I waited till they did all their thing. And I knew they were going to, if I couldn't call them in from that angle, I had to get to that other corner of the farm and just wait them out and start calling from that perimeter. And that's how I killed my first Osceola. So mistakes, I mean, you'll still make them. Basically, the biggest mistake is you're calling. Most of these Osceolas won't gobble. And you get up and he's standing there at 20 yards and all of a sudden you're busted. That's the biggest mistake. Everybody thinks, oh, well, you don't hear them gobble, they're not coming. Most of the birds will gobble on the roost and they'll shut up. We got a lot of predators. So, and all of a sudden people is like, well, I'm going to get moving. It's like, dude, sit about 20, 30 minutes. If you are going to get up and move, make sure you glass the whole area, scan it real good before you move. Because most of the times he's coming and he's quiet. That's the mistake I made. And I learned that real quick. And I'm like, every time I got to get up, I got to glass or give it that extra 10 minutes. And definitely if your setup is good, go with your gut feeling. Just sit on it a little bit longer. But I'm very impatient. I mean, 30 minutes, I mean, it's about as max as I'm going to wait.
Yeah.
And if I know,
I can't get 30 minutes out.
What's that?
I can't get 30 minutes.
No, I mean, I for turkey, I go a little bit more patient, but that sit all day in one spot, I can't. That's just not me. I run and gun. And if we are going to run and gun, we'll just creep through the palmettos or edges of fields, just kind of stay tucked in the woods and just creep out slowly, whether you got a belly crawl to a trail or just on hands and knees instead of just walking plain out. I mean, a bird will kind of look at you if you're belly crawling and kind of not figure it out sometimes. So that's why we do that. I mean, it sucks. Sometimes it's muddy, but you got to do what you got to do.
One of my favorite techniques, and this is like state-of-the-art chasing tails, patent pending turkey hunting techniques. And I've done this to myself 3 times accidentally, and now I'm adopting it as something I'm going to do this season purposely. I'll walk down, like this 2-track in the middle of, it's winding through the woods, and at every bend I would call, and you can look both ways and see if a bird steps out. You're kind of tucked inside the woods. Yep. And 3 different times last year, I would get all the way to the end of that 2-track, turn around and just start walking back, completely forgetting that I called along the way. And on 3 separate occasions, I had toms sitting at where I had called at some
right
point
where you were,
just blown all out. And if I had slowed down, I could have killed them.
And it's usually 20 minutes before that? Yep. Oh, no, that's happened to me. That's happened to me, and that's what made me just years ago just wait a little bit longer.
Yeah.
I've had that happen. You've calling, and then nothing happens. You go 100 yards, and when you walk back, he's standing exactly right where you were. And you're like, damn it, should have waited. But it's part of the game.
It is. But because of that, I started taking binoculars, and I'd get to one of those bins, and I'd creep and look around. No,
binos is definitely a must. Definitely. Really? Yeah, I think I've been one time without binos, and I felt like if I was naked. It's like, this sucks. I really can't glass the fields, the edges, any shaded tree that they'll hang around half day in there. Just when it's really hot, they'll get in that and they won't move, just chilling. And it's like, I was naked that day. I was like, man, this really sucks.
I could totally see that. So let me ask you a couple questions. So what is the official camo pattern of Ray Martin Outdoors?
There really isn't, man.
No.
I do go by Leafy Suit.
Okay.
Leafy Suit does work. Pattern, I don't buy into
still. Sit still.
Nah, what's that?
Sit still.
No, I mean the Leafy Suit. When you have all those little fluffy things, it breaks out the pattern, breaks out your whole outline. It kind of throws them off. I've been caught in the open sitting down on a trail, and I've had hens walk by at 12 yards and just kind of glance right by me. And I'm like, well, damn. But pattern, I got Walmart stuff, Realtree, Mossy Oak, whoever gives me a free shirt. It's I don't buy into the camel thing. It's basically selling it to the hunter.
Yeah.
I mean, the turkey ain't gonna know that you're wearing bottom line.
Yeah.
So it don't matter. I mean, basically, but the Leafy Suit, yeah, man. I do Leafy Suit, mask, and gloves.
Yeah. So I've got the leafy. I've always had the Leafy Gloves. I
wear regular gloves.
Oh, really?
But yeah, I wear regular face mask, regular gloves, camo, whatever I happen to buy. I have like usually 2 pairs in my bag. But definitely the top piece, it's a Leafy Suit.
I got
and
you.
Right now it's pretty much faded. It's like 5 seasons old.
Yeah.
But it still does the job.
So
yeah, I don't go into that camo stuff. That's basically selling it to the hunter.
Yeah.
You got to be in the fad. I mean, everybody now is like, oh my God, Mossy Oak bottom line, tree bark. Like, dude, I wore that when I was 20 years old. Like, come on, man.
You were in it before it was cool.
Yeah. Hell, we started out with army camo.
Yeah.
I mean, we couldn't afford back then. I mean, well, not me, my dad and all that, but it's like we wore army camo.
Yeah.
And we still killed plenty of stuff. So the camo, you're selling it to the outdoorsman, man. It's so you can be on Instagram and look good.
Hey, man, don't throw shade at Chasing Tails.
I do. I gotta get one of your shirts, man. I like the public one.
Oh, when we get done with this, tell me what your size is, and I'll send one to you. Right, absolutely. Cool.
Yeah, I definitely got to get one of those.
They're pretty cool, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Shameless plug. We still have 4 of the Hobblagoblas. I have got an order placed for 52 more of the Hobblagoblas, and then we still have, I think, about 20 of the Florida Public Land Legend shirts. So anybody who's interested.
Yeah, Hobblagobla, that one's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Man.
I thought maybe somebody might find it interesting, and it seems a lot of people found it funny. So
yeah.
It's the Chasing Tails version of speak the language, right? Like,
yep. Oh yeah, for sure.
So how many states have you chased turkeys in so far?
Nebraska, New Mexico, Texas, Georgia. That's it.
Florida.
This year I was thinking maybe North Dakota.
Yeah.
Or South Dakota. But I don't know yet. We'll see.
Do you have any aspirations?
I'm not really chasing the 49. I just want to kill other birds in other states. And kind of like the one I love the most is probably Merriam's. Okay. I love those cream color or white kind of outer bands. So those are pretty cool birds, and they're pretty big and they gobble weird.
They do. They almost have like a teenage gobble. They don't sound like.
The first time I heard one, I'm like, is that a turkey? I'm like, and then when I saw him fly down, I'm like, yeah, that was a turkey.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa. I'm like, all right, cool. They work pretty simple.
I got you. Okay.
Them rolling hills in Nebraska are pretty cool.
So we're coming up on an hour here, and so I want to be sensitive to your time. But I'm going to ask you for something. We used to do this all the time on the podcast. I haven't done it in a while, but let's close this out with your most embarrassing turkey hunt. What happened?
Fell asleep. Basically, I did the same thing you said. You called. I fell asleep. When I woke up, I'm just looking around, and then I'm looking at a bird, and I'm like, I was like, dude, is that a turkey? And then finally, I let him go by because I was just kind of still out of it. And as he's walking away, at first I thought it was a hen. And then as he finally walks out of kind of range, I could just see that big old redhead. And I'm like, what the hell was going on through your mind here? And then I'm like, man, that he just basically got caught. So I was like, that was the dumbest thing. And then I'm like, you know what? Tomorrow I'm going to be here same time. Yeah, following day he died. I got redemption on him. But yeah, that's probably, I would say, the dumbest. I've had a lot of deer stuff, but not many turkey dumb stuff.
Yeah.
Deer, I can name a lot of them.
Yeah.
Caught
Well,
basically taking a leak and stuff like that. And yep.
caught
Or
your
put your
pants down.
put your rifle down with it, which I had never done. And I got caught with my pants down on a big old 8-point. And man, I was upset. Yep. But turkey, I mean, there really hasn't been too much except that one.
I got you. Well, I have my normal blunders in the woods. My nickname is the Red Bearded Blunder because all I do in life is just blunder around, but I do it with reckless enthusiasm. So I tend to make up for things. But Ray, man, if you're serious, next year
Oh no,
let's film a hunt down there in South Florida to kick things
let,
off.
let, let's get it on, man.
Okay, okay.
We'll get you down here and we'll get you on a bird, get you on a
Okay.
real Fiola.
Okay, we'll do it. Well, Ray, tell everybody where they can find you on Instagram because if they're not following you right now, they need to because you're out their side so much. You inspire people to be outside. You got a great sense of humor. You're always like cutting jokes and you always have funny stories. So tell everybody where they can find you.
Ray Martin Outdoors, man. That's basically it.
Yeah. What's your guide fee?
I don't.
I'm just messing with
I
you,
mean,
man.
actually, somebody reached out this year because I do got my own tag. He's like, "Hey, I'll buy that from you if you can if you can guide." I'm like, "Dude, I like killing turkeys too much." It's like he goes 2,000. I'm like, sounds pretty good, but I'd rather kill that bird.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've called in a lot of birds for friends and buddies or give them info, and I mean, I just love having fun, man,
Yeah.
and getting new people out there, basically.
Yeah.
Oh,
Absolutely.
I definitely got to say, on the deer one, a lot of guys reached out. Thank you for that. Definitely some guys were very thankful that they had either success with what I told them or they saw more deer, which actually, man, that's pretty cool.
That's awesome, man.
That's pretty cool.
I
That's
didn't
pretty
know.
cool when you hear back from somebody that tells you, hey, what you said, I put it to use and it did work. That actually makes a person feel good. So
Yeah.
thanks
Well,
for all of this.
I'm thrilled that you were able to connect with people because you have
Oh yeah.
always been so generous with information. I mean,
Yeah,
I
I get a lot of DMs and private mess, and I mean, if I can help you, man, I'll try to help. I mean, and just giving info as far as what to do, what not to do. So I had a rough learning, so learn on my own. So if I can help somebody, I'm down with it.
I love it, man. Well, hang on
Yep.
1 second. I'm going to wrap this up, but I want to chat with you afterwards.
Cool.
Guys, if you're listening to this episode, as we record it, we are 17 days away from turkey season. I cannot tell you how excited that makes me. And in all seriousness, you need to go check out Ray's page. He's going to be hunting way more than you are. And if you're looking to live vicariously through a fella, he's going to be your guy to do it. If you're stuck at home tending to a new baby or the honey-do list is too long, check out Ray. Check out his stories. His photography is out of this world. Go check him out. But until next time, do me a favor and get outside and enjoy the great outdoors.